All right, welcome to NB Fam. This is a channel that's, in theory, it's about weight loss. I'm kind of a fat dude. I was up to 253 pounds. I'm 6'2". But it's also about motorcycles, because why not combine those two things into one channel? And it's about my family in New Brunswick, the NB Fam. But today's video, I'm doing something a little bit different. This is just a recording of a ride from Rosse in St. John out to the west side to the Aldridge's dealership on a 99 Kawasaki ZRX1100. This is a cool bike. I had hunted around for one of these, I would say, for the last 5 or 6 years. I saw one when I was a resident in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I saw a guy driving up Spring Garden Road on one, and it was the same colors as mine. It was like green and purple and whatever the Eddie Lawson colors are. And I remember looking at it and just being like, oh man, that is the coolest looking bike I've ever seen. And I decided that I had to have one. And that was like 15, 20 years ago. I think they were new at the time. So yeah, 20, 21 years ago. I'd never seen one before at that time. And I figured out what they were, and kept my eye out for one. But then, life gets in the way, and I found a 1978 CB750 that turned into a project bike that went on for years. I was doing that with my dad, and then that went into storage for a couple of years. I had to do my board exams, and when it came out of storage, it just never quite worked right. It always had leaks. I've been gradually fixing them. I think I've spent about probably $5,000 on that bike, just keeping it running. And every year it's something new. And I just wanted a standard inline 4 sort of universal Japanese bike, but something that might be a little bit more reliable and maybe that accelerates a bit harder. The CB750, when you're riding on the highway, it is a little bit spooky. I've had a CB450 as well, a 1983 Nighthawk 450 that I sold to a girl. It was her first bike, and it was it was slow as hell, but it was stable, and it didn't vibrate a whole lot. It was just a parallel twin, and if you got up to speed on the highway, you knew it was going to be able to do 110, 120 kilometers an hour, right? Whereas the 750, every year something happens to it. And recently I can't get it to rev over 4,000 RPM in 5th gear, which is just about 100 kilometers an hour on the highway. And I don't know how to fix that. I think it's a carburetor issue. What happened was my dad passed away in late 2018 with pancreatic cancer. Part of the treatment for pancreatic cancer is steroids, so that you keep your appetite and you keep eating, and he had a good year and a half with that cancer. It wasn't like, this isn't a super depressing story or anything. He was a good guy, but with the steroids, he got really obsessive, and thankfully it wasn't. Some people get real mean on it or they get crazy. He just got really obsessive about motorcycles and cars and stuff, which has always been sort of my lifetime obsession. He took it over, and Dad wasn't super well to do. He was successful. He was an engineer, but he wasn't wealthy by any means. But he started pouring money into bikes, and he got really interested in the CB750. I think that's because as he got sort of weak from the chemo and stuff, he couldn't get out riding as much, so he mostly sort of watched YouTube videos about bikes that he liked, and that was one of them. And then he realized, hey, we got this one in the shed and that Jake's been screwing around with for years. Why don't we fix it up? And so what had happened, the headers had rusted through, and he put on new pipes, and the pipes were like $700 or something. It was ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. The bike is still in rough shape, but he put on these new pipes, and they're chrome. They look really good, but the bike looks like crap. I mean, it's a rat cycle more than anything else. But I got it running. It sounds great. I mean, it's a 4-into-1, like kind of boomy, empty exhaust, and sounds awesome. But I think it probably, you have to figure out your fuel mixture on each cylinder when you change your exhaust. So I think that's what's going on, why it won't accelerate very fast. I think I'm going to sell it and maybe let it become somebody else's project bike, because I couldn't if that was Dad's only bike. But he also he left me his 2010 Road King Classic. That is just an amazing bike. And speaking of his steroids, so he put it in storage. And when I went to pick it up after he died the next spring, they'd done a stage 1 on it. It had these big Reinhardt exhausts, new, K&N filter, and it's certainly torquey. It's a cool bike. I love that bike, actually. It's one of the cooler looking bikes I've ever had, along with this ZRX. One thing, I was pretty intimidated getting a sport bike. I was worried that you'll see it accelerating here in a second. I was worried that it'd be too twitchy off the line. I didn't know if I'd be able to handle the kind of acceleration in first gear off the line. And I guess I didn't really think it through, because all the torque on a Harley is down low, and Dad's bike is really twitchy off the line. I also have a Superglide Custom Stage 1, and it's really twitchy off the line. It goes 0 to 20 faster than anything else I've ever driven. So you got to be careful in traffic. But no, the Kawasaki's great. It's I guess it makes all its torque around 5,000 RPM. So if you think about it, you're not going to be accidentally pulling a wheelie off the line, and that kind of I thought that was cool. I really like that. It accelerates like nothing else I've driven. Now, I'm not a sport bike guy. I've never had a CBR600 like most of my friends have had those bikes, and a lot of them still do. I don't know how to pull a wheelie. I don't know how to clutch up, But so this, to me, for what I'm used to, this bike is fast. Having said that, now selling the Honda CB750, that means I got a space in the garage, and there is a bike for sale on Kijiji, which is kind of like the Craigslist of East Coast Canada. It's a Kawasaki ZRX1100, and it is like the Hayabusa killer. I had never thought I'd be super interested in these bikes that can go 400 kilometers an hour or whatever. But man, it's a cool bike. It's big. It's comfortable for big guys like myself. It's fast. I don't know, man. The guy's asking a little too much. It's a 2012 with 30,000 kilometers, and he wants $9,000 Canadian, which would be like 5,700 US maybe. I don't know. Depending on the pandemic and what our dollar's worth today, could be anywhere between 60 and 71 cents. But if it was $7,500 Canadian, I'd probably buy it, but I don't have any income at the moment, because the hospitals, like I work in the hospital in St. John, and all the elective stuff is canceled, and even urgent stuff is or semi-urgent stuff anyway, has been put off. So it's really quiet. We're doing about maybe 30-40% of a normal work volume, and we get paid for fee for service, right? So it's a consideration, but I have to think the business will eventually come back. Now the taxes are going to go up. That's a whole other discussion, to pay for all the borrowing that we're doing, I assume. But I'd still like that bike. Anyway, just a thought. This guy, the ZRX1100, has a Muzzy exhaust. It sounds really good, but you can't hear it on this. This is recorded, by the way, with an old GoPro Hero 2 that my dad got me to take to Whistler, because he was too out of shape to do the mountain, and wanted a video skiing top to bottom. And on the video, when he gave it to me, I crashed. Now, you've obviously noticed this really annoying and irritating white spot in the middle of the video. That is a crack in the weatherproof case, and I would have just recorded it without the weatherproof case. The Hero 2 is probably worth like $50 these days, except that I don't know how to affix it to anything. This is actually my ski chest harness that it's stuck on. So that's what you're seeing. Anyway, moving on. This is the bridge that crosses from the east side of St. John to the west side of St. John, and we're just coming across to Eldridge's now. It's slowed way down here, and it was raining and just above 0 degrees, and I was worried there'd be black ice on the bridge. It doesn't look super wet, and there wasn't, but you know, I'm not kind of a safety first or second kind of guy. I don't do wheelies. I don't know how. I don't know how to clutch up a bike. I just love riding, and I love riding everything. And even if I'm riding slow, I'm having a good time. What I like about this bike, though, is the acceleration. It's not so much, I'm not a top speed kind of junkie. There are too many deer, I think, in New Brunswick to really ride a bike at top speed anywhere, anyway, even if you have the highway to yourself. And I'd hate to cause an accident or something. So I more enjoy the pull from like 80 to 120. Occasionally go a little bit faster, but you'll rarely, you can see the roads are kind of shit anyway, pardon my French. Anyway, I'm just going to shut up now. The end of the video is just pulling into Eldridge's Harley Davidson. I tried to record the narration for this a couple of times and it keeps failing, so I think if I stop a little bit early and just let the video finish itself, maybe that'll work. Anyway, subscribe to the channel, throw some likes on there. The videos are mixed for sure. Some of them are just about weight loss and like me checking it on my weight. It's kind of like a vlog. I'm trying to do it almost every day. And obviously the bike is in for service. It's just getting a new rear tire, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. And I'm going to get them to do an oil filter, just a once over. Normally I can do the oil changes myself, but I just don't want to screw anything up. With the, changing the rear tire, I don't know how to tension a chain and all that stuff. Alright, so I'm going to shut up now. We'll let the video play out, and there's not much sound from here on, just because the GoPro's in that protective case. But yeah, subscribe if you're into the bike stuff. If you're struggling with your weight or whatever, sometimes I'll just be talking about diet and food and exercise. And there's lots of stuff with my family. I'm going to make videos of the stuff we do together. Alright, take her easy, goes. Maybe, what was that movie? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Take her easy, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.